Hello and welcome to the Nonprofits. I'm Stephen Harder. Today we are looking at yet another example of church leadership abusing its adherents. I'll send this over to Flabbergasted to tell us what's going on.
Yeah, so another shocking but sadly unsurprising news story details the horrific and tragic case of children in Romania being abused and trafficked by religious leaders. According to the report, missionary Paul Havsgaard lured struggling children from the street with promises of education, shelter, and food. He's accused of putting them in atrocious and abusive living conditions where he would personally take advantage of them and even, quote unquote, pimp out some of the older boys for his own financial gain. During this mission, Havsgaard was financially supported by the Harvest Christian Fellowship, a Southern California religious organization known for their Riverside megachurch. This story is from AP News by Deepa Bharat, updated September 17th, 2025.
This is not an easy story. This is a heartbreaking story. So, it feels weird to say give us the details, but color in for us a little bit, Flabbergasted. What was going on with this money and the church's involvement?
Yeah, so Havsgaard was there effectively on behalf of the religious organization doing a mission trip. You know, that thing where people go around the world and tell people who are already probably Christians about Christianity. And he did it with what is seemed to be very minimal oversight. And we know this because the church itself was sending upwards to $17,000 a month to Havsgaard during his mission to cover his costs and his expenses, and effectively we can assume as pay for the work. It's not to mention the fact that Havsgaard also brought some of his victims from Romania back to California to help him raise money for the church organization. Right. The church itself is effectively refusing to accept any responsibility, saying that this is an attempt to extort the church financially and that Havsgaard should be solely responsible and should be the only one to bear the responsibility for these actions. So I guess what I'd have to ask here is where are we going to put a line in responsibility? And can we afford for this to be the goat that escapes, as it were?
Yikes. Why don't we dig into the core issue here? Tracy, these allegations are horrendous, to say the least. How do you respond to the picture that's being painted here?
Well, I mean, it's horrendous, obviously, and if it's the case that it's true, then definitely something needs to come down the pipeline for both the offender in this case and the organization that bankrolled his child trafficking. I mean, I'm sorry, but there's no scenario in which Microsoft sends Bill Gates to Bermuda for 8 months and sends him tens of thousands of dollars, and while he's down there he gets, for the purposes of doing stuff in Bermuda, and while he's down there he's getting up to a whole bunch of nastiness. This is crazy. You are partially responsible. You're not wholly responsible, but that church definitely needs to be paying back these men for the horrible treatment that they put them through. And this person who this preacher, obviously there's some sort of, and I'm not a doctor, so take it with a pinch of salt, but there's obviously some sort of religious psychosis going on. So one of the quotes that I managed to find was, "I know what God wants. What I want, God wants," is something that he would say to his victims while doing crimes on them. And so there's definitely some form of religious psychosis going on here. And I'm not a fan of punitive justice. So some sort of, I don't know what to do. You got to rehabilitate. I don't know how you rehabilitate this, but we got to try somehow.
Yeah. The term we use here is going to be restorative justice, right? That's what we want to see. We want to see that the victims, the men, and some of them still boys, actually get something that helps them recover and come back from this in a genuinely meaningful way. If we just punish the person and we ignore the victims, then justice hasn't been served.
Exactly. And that, I think that really sets the foundation, right? We are not just talking about some minor misconduct. I can speak to my time as a missionary. That's, you know, there is all sorts of social and interpersonal uh, poor things going on, to put it really blandly. But this isn't just telling people lies about God. You know, these are allegations of systematic abuse, about trafficking and exploitation, right? And the second layer of all of that is the accountability. Flabbergasted, you raised the question of who bears responsibility. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I obviously think that both the individual and the organization bear responsibility at different levels. The organization's resources were used to commit these atrocities. They weren't innocent in this. I mean, in the best case scenario for them is that they were just wholly negligent, right? They were wholly negligent of what the funds they were sending were being used for, what the facilities that their funds were paying for were being used for, right? This all happened out of their pocket, right? It's not like he uses personal funds to get a hotel room to do these atrocities, right? This is all part and parcel with his responsibilities and his role that they sent him there for. So absolutely, they have responsibility. And the fact that they're trying to like buck that responsibility is extra problematic. Like I wouldn't, if they were to say, yes, we should have done better in paying attention and we should have kept a closer eye, and whether we wanted to be involved or not, we hold responsibility. I wouldn't hold it against them in such a way, right? They're admitting like, yes, this happened under our watch. We should have done better. That's not okay. But that's not what they're doing. They're doing the Catholic Church routine. They're saying, oh, nothing to see here. It's not our fault, right? The only thing they're doing that the Catholic Church does is they're not like chucking someone off into another church to hide them, which is something I'm sure we'll be talking about shortly. But it's the same thing, right? They're refusing to take responsibility because taking any responsibility takes away from their credibility. And as long as they play dumb, then they get to pretend like they're still the heroes and they've never done anything wrong and everybody should listen to them and they're infallible. And they can also justify keeping all of the money that was also made off the backs of those victims. So are they responsible? Absolutely. There's no question about it.
Totally. And I think that there is a clear question here that that we are, you know, grappling with. You know, the idea of like, can an institution wash its hands of something like this when the money, the oversight, the fundraising all flowed through it? And I like it's clearly that it isn't just a tube, a pipe that passes through cleanly. Like there is going to be there is involvement there. Tracy, what do you make of how the church has handled this situation as it's developed?
I always, and this isn't, this is probably logically fallacious in some way that I'm sure somebody will point out to me. But I've always found it almost a tacit admission of guilt of at least interior doubting when you don't want, when you're not cooperating with an investigation. At least like once you understand, once you like, I don't expect you to pull over and allow the police to check your car because of suspicion of whatever and blah, blah, blah. But like when we have a very high profile case of something like this, of sexual assault, of I don't remember, of trafficking. I was going to use a different word, but yes. And these accusations are being flown around. Like, people don't just go about making accusations like this for fun. And if they're false accusations, there should be a way to tell that they were false accusations. I have always been of the opinion that if somebody that I looked up to was accused of a crime, I want there to be a full investigation, because a full investigation is the only thing that will exonerate them. Just denying and shoving away does nothing to exonerate. It does everything to make not everybody, but a large amount of people think you're guilty.
Yeah,
But that's just me.
Yeah. Well, and I think that that's the crux of it, right? An institution protecting itself instead of the vulnerable. And what does that do to trust when that is the case, right? The choice speaks volumes. Flabbergasted, what's your take on how the church is responding to this opportunity?
In the absolute worst way possible, right? Like, I think you said it very clearly. It's they're protecting themselves instead of protecting the vulnerable, which is something you would expect an organization to do in a lot of cases. But this is also an organization, as a result of it being a Christian religious organization, that I imagine purports that it's there to protect the vulnerable, to help the needy. Like, that's what a lot of Christian organizations will at least claim to be representing, right? Whether or not they actually do it, totally different question, because most of them don't. But there's, it's one thing you say, oh, I'm here to protect the vulnerable. And if that is what they're saying, if this church wants to come out and say, no, we don't protect the vulnerable, then I'll have a different opinion. I don't think they'll have the audacity to make such a statement publicly in response to our beautiful little podcast here. But if they do, I'm here for it. So, but if they're going to purport that they're, protecting people and they're there for the innocent and all this stuff that churches like to pretend they do, it's extra bad, right? It's one thing when you do something horrible, but it's another thing when you say that you're supposed to be doing good things and then you don't, and you just do the horrible things instead. And that's what they're doing. They're doing the worst approach. They're throwing the victims under the bus, saying, "Oh, it's not our problem. Oh yeah, maybe we profited off them, but that's not our fault. It's not our problem. It's that guy. Go look at that guy." And yeah, I don't get how people trust religious organizations. News stories like this are so commonplace that even if you are in one of the religious organizations in the churches that never makes a mistake, that is always good and is always honest and always holds itself to account when it does, like the fact it's happening so many other places all the time, and it's such a common problem within this particular type of organization, which just had me with an eyebrow lifted 24/7.
Yeah. Well, and like how, like just the stance of separating themselves out from their missionary to say no, he's not ours. Like how like why are you sending out missionaries then that you don't want to take any ownership of? Like who are they representing then if not your church?
And what was that 17 grand for? If it's not your guy, what are you doing sending him 20K a month?
Paying him to represent you, like what were you paying him to do?
Yeah, like
traffic,
it's just,
maybe I don't
just
like children. What are you trying?
Like I can't. I'm like whatever. I push myself to challenge my preconceived notions and my assumptions, right? So what, these are real people behind this church who must believe that they are good people and they must believe that they are doing the right thing. So what's that picture that I can paint to give them an ounce of leeway? And I struggle. Like what like is it in name? Is it a setup where it's like in name only? Like, yeah, we just rubber stamp these people and send them out, but we don't, but the money is right there. Like, I don't, unless, nope, I cannot, nope. Nope.
Yeah, I think you are a much nicer person than I am for even trying to think about how to give them like a way out of their own atrocious behavior.
Well, like, and just trying to be balanced, right? Because I've been caught in the opposite so many times where, like, I read one thing, whoa, that's the worst thing ever. And now I'm going to post all over social media about how awful it is. And, oh, if I would have just given it just a little bit more research, I would have found out there's another perspective and that perspective is valid. So whatever, it's lessons learned. I just now
really hard to find that on this though.
Yeah. Whenever is there a religious organization engaging in child trafficking where you get like a little bit more, you get a slightly different perspective and it just changes the whole outcome for you. That doesn't happen. It usually just gets worse.
They were wearing a short skirt. Anyways, don't need to talk about that. Tracy, if the church refuses responsibility, what do you see as the bare minimum they should be doing? What do you think? Like, what's like there's no turning back time. We don't have a DeLorean. What should be done in order to try to create some kind of compensation?
Well, like what Flabbergasted was saying, restorative justice. Try and get these men, these children. You're not going to be able to make them whole, but like trying at minimum some sort of, pain and suffering payout, as well as covering medical care and mental health resources for them to process and heal from how many years of trauma underneath this monstrous individual. That I think would be the absolute bare minimum, is a significant investment into the futures of these men and boys.
So, like, I haven't looked into this Paul guy very much. In either of your research, has it come to your attention that he was a drag queen? Is that part of the recipe here? That he is a drag queen that is, grooming and a predator, or is it? No, he's not a drag queen, is it? Why is it that these predators
I was
always
so
want
confused, Stephen. I was so like, wait, what did Stephen find?
Is this
nothing?
okay?
Nothing. But
Did
why
someone
do
make
these-
that accusation?
No.
Okay, I was
the opposite. Why is it that drag queens in libraries are being accused of these awful, horrendous things by religious people, and it is the people within the religious organizations that are actually the predators? Why is it that they are always trying to get us to look in the wrong places for them? Why is that effective? What is going on there that this is still something that people want to believe? I don't understand the psychology behind that either.
Now that I've recovered from the reeling of that twist, it's one of those situations where it's very much like every accusation is an admittance of guilt, right? And this is what we're talking about. When you have people who are pointing fingers with no evidence and trying to blame other groups for actions that groups that you are associated with are almost always the ones guilty of. It's a redirection of blame so you can pretend like you're not part of the problem. It's like the same. It's like when you have someone who is a public figure who is making accusations about how drag queens and trans people are committing all these atrocities, and then the next day the report comes out that they're currently under arrest for child imagery. And it's like that's exactly what you expect in these cases, because drag queens aren't the one pointing fingers at religious people, right? The religious people are like doing the actions, and like the evidence is pointing the fingers at them, and we're just like pointing to the evidence, and they're the ones pointing fingers. And it's just a crazy state of reality when you could just scream enough and distort public perspective and reality in such a way, and that's all they're doing. So, Tracy, you were jumping into.
Well, I just wanted to quote a film from before my time, Pocahontas by Disney, said very eloquently, I think, "They're different from us, which means they can't be trusted." And I think that that's just like how a lot of politics and a lot of social tribal groups run, is just like, you're different from me. These people are the same from me. So I'm going to listen to them, and I don't care what you say. Just seems to be how a lot of this boils down with these church groups circling the wagons and whatnot. It's just like, you're not part of my group, so you're wrong, and I can't trust what you say.
And more importantly, it's not just you're part of our group, therefore we can't trust you. It's these victims are not part of our group, and therefore we don't care about their suffering.
Yeah.
Ugh.
You can't be true. Well, I would say that it's even, and if I could just say this, I don't think that is, I don't think they believe that there is suffering. I think they think it is a lie.
Oh, really?
Yeah, well, that's what I've always gotten from these things, is it's not turning a blind eye to suffering in it, like a conscious blind eye, I should say. It's just that I don't think it's there. I think you're lying about your suffering. You are crocodile tearing. You are You are just not actually suffering. You're doing this for some other reason I've made up.
Right. Because it's never impacted me. So that means it probably has never impacted you. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
My tiny little slice of reality that I have witnessed must be representative to the slice of reality that everybody else experiences too.
Got it.
So, like, the situation that we are in is that churches, for whatever reason, they have willing adherents, and those churches hold like moral and financial and emotional power over their congregants. So when abuse does, and it does, happen, like how can a victim, what kind of recourse can a victim have when a church holds so many cards over them, when they have so much power and influence? Like what hope is there for these trusting people who have been abused? What's the solution besides taking away their charitable status?
I mean, you also like it's a megachurch, so we know they got money because that's how megachurch operate, right? Like
you don't get the mega without money,
right? you gotta have a couple extra zeros to get that mega status. And I think that's part of it too. Like taking away their tax exempt status is like peanuts in the grand scheme of things, right?
Bare minimum.
It's not even bare minimum. It's below the bare minimum. Like these people have suffered, and like they were, and they suffered things for promises they never got. Like these people deserve something, and in reality, this something is almost always financial compensation, to allow them to be able to, move their life forward in a way that helps with that suffering, right? Like being tortured doesn't go away, but being able to pay for therapy and like become financially stable, so that way you have the emotional mental capacity to deal with the torture that you've had to go through, is something that you deserve, especially if people financially benefited from you doing it, right? Like whatever they got for your pain should be multiplied by a large number, because it's not just about the money. And sometimes the only thing you can give to a victim is money. Like we can't give them something that we can't give them their innocence back or their childhood back. But we can give them a way forward.
Yeah, totally.
And hopefully, as a resident of California, where this court case is happening, I bloody hope they do.
Good stuff. Well, thank you guys for contributing to this conversation below. And thank you, dear listeners and viewers. Hop down in the comment section. Tell us what you think should happen now. Once this, what's the best possible ending to this story? Tell us what you think. And if you want to hear more from the nonprofits, click one of these links on the screen right now.